Hello everyone, 2023 was another big year for Africa's natural resource exports, bringing in hundreds of billions of dollars from crude oil, natural gas, solid minerals, agricultural products, and more. From South Africa's platinum and Ghana's gold to Nigeria's crude oil and Zambia's copper, Africa continues to power the global economy with natural resources. Against a backdrop of soaring global commodity demand, Africa generated over $400 billion. Hydrocarbons, solid minerals, and agriculture contributed the bulk of these commodity export earnings. However, beneath the numbers lie stories of economic hardship, domestic processing bottlenecks, and a continent struggling to balance its immense mineral wealth with the urgent needs for economic diversification and development. Why is this the case, and what can be done about it? In this video by Africa Rebound, we highlight the top 10 African countries with the most commodity export earnings, underlining each country's top commodities and the export earnings therefrom. Let's dive into it, shall we, in a countdown format, from number 10 to number 1. Starting at number 10 is Tanzania, the steady climber, with $12.1 billion. Tanzania broke into the top 10 on the back of its thriving gold sector, with exports of $5 billion. Copper ore and concentrates brought in $1.8 billion, while agricultural products such as cashew, tobacco, and coffee earned $1.5 billion. Next country at number 9 is Cote d'Ivoire, the king of cocoa, with $16.5 billion. Cote d'Ivoire is the world's largest cocoa producer. Cocoa beans and products brought in $6.5 billion. Refined petroleum and re-exporting of imported crude earned $3.8 billion, while gold generated $2.5 billion. At number 8 is Libya, the fragile petrostate, with $21.2 billion. Libya's oil renaissance defied political fractures, with production stabilizing at over 1 million barrels per day. Crude oil accounted for $19.5 billion. Natural gas brought in $1.3 billion, with increased pipeline flows to Italy. The next country, at number 7, is Ghana, the golden anchor, with $22.5 billion. Ghana solidified its status as Africa's premier gold hub, with output hitting 4.6 million ounces. Commodity export revenues surged by 14% year-on-year, driven by three main sectors. First, gold brought in $9.8 billion, thanks to higher prices. Second, crude oil contributed $6.2 billion, as the Jubilee N10 fields managed to offset production declines with new offshore fields. Third, cocoa generated $4.4 billion. Next at number 6 is the Democratic Republic of Congo, DR Congo, or DRC, the battery metal juggernaut, with $23.8 billion in commodity exports. The DRC's copper, cobalt axis drove over 80% of earnings. First, copper at $15.2 billion, due to the growing production from the new copper ore concentrator. Second, cobalt at $5.1 billion. Growing demand for electric vehicle increased cobalt prices. Third, gold at $1.2 billion. Coming up next at number 5 is Algeria, Europe's gas lifeline, with $38.5 billion. As Europe sought alternatives to Russian gas, Algeria stepped up, securing long-term gas supply contracts. Natural gas brought in $21.5 billion through gas exported via Transmed pipeline to Italy and Medgaz pipeline to Spain. Crude oil accounted for $14 billion. At number 4 is Egypt, the Suez Synergy, with $45.3 billion. First, refined petroleum at $14.5 billion. Suez Canal Zone refineries processed Iraqi and Kuwaiti crude for European Union re-export. Second, natural gas from the Zohr field with $12.8 billion. Third, Egypt earned $6.1 billion from crude oil exports. At number 3 is Angola, beyond oil, beneath the earth, with $44.8 billion. It is noteworthy that Angola has diversified the most among Africa's petrostates, slashing oil's share of revenue from 95% to 72% since 2020. Crude oil brought in $39.1 billion. Diamonds added $3.2 billion, especially from the Luax mine, the world's largest kimberlite diamond rock discovery. Natural gas contributed $2.5 billion as Angola LNG's floating LNG model attracted spot buyers from Brazil, Thailand, etc. The African country in number 2 position is Nigeria, the giant of Africa, with $52.1 billion. First, crude oil at $36.5 billion. Second, natural gas with $7.8 billion. Third, agricultural products, cocoa and cashew at $1 billion. The African country at number 1 with the biggest commodity export earnings in 2023 is South Africa, the mineral superpower, with $62.4 billion. South Africa's mining industry is certainly the most advanced in Africa. First, coal, totaling $15.2 billion. Second, platinum group metals, with $14.1 billion. And third, gold, at $12.3 billion. Africa's $420 billion natural resource bounty has far greater economic value outside Africa than within the continent, while a few nations, like South Africa, through platinum group metals, PGM processing, have managed to climb the value chains. Africa as a continent lost over $200 billion in potential earnings, mainly due to exporting raw materials instead of refined products. So, the first big issue is, Africa needs to make the shift from just exporting raw commodities to actually building industries that process, manufacture, and add value right here on the continent. Certainly, the revenues from mineral extraction must be used to fuel Africa's industrialization. Africa is rich, but Africa must also be smart. The second big issue is, Africa's huge commodity export earnings need to start having greater impact on domestic economies and reduce poverty levels. Africa's wealth is extracted much faster than it's reinvested locally. Breaking the cycle will require African governments to insist on domestic processing of the agricultural raw materials and solid minerals before exports to capture more value locally and positively impact the lives of Africans. Well, you've just heard it. Hundreds of billions of dollars flowing out every year from beneath Africa's land. From oil, gold, diamonds, copper, cocoa, etc. Riches that could and should really transform African economies. Yet, over 30% of Africa's 1.4 billion people still live in poverty. Why? Because too often, our wealth leaves before it can work for us. We export raw treasures and then import the finished products at 10 times the price. Mineral mines and oil fields create wealth for less than 1% of Africans. Worse still, there are not enough jobs and social safety nets for the people. And when the price of oil or gold or copper crashes, so do our national budgets. This is the tragedy of plenty, riches without prosperity. Until we process, manufacture, and invest our resources here at home, Africa will remain rich in the ground, but poor in the lives of our people. May God bless Africa. Thanks for watching.